And welcome back, everybody. This is a quick turnaround for me and Stephanie here. By very popular request from many of Stephanie's followers, is that there's an awful lot of interest in the astrological side towards relationships and what's ahead and how I can make it work for each other. So we thought that we would make this a regular thing. So we're going to be doing on the approach to every change in the astrological calendar, what is going to be happening for the month ahead within the sign that we're coming into. So we are about to enter my season, which is a good season for us to start in Scorpio. And if you've been listening to our previous podcasts, you'll know that it's not all about the sun sign Scorpio. There's a lot more to it than this. But Stephanie's been checking through her records today to see what's ahead. So for those of you who are interested, let's find out what Stephanie has to say that we've got in store for Scorpio season. So welcome back.
You, Deb. Thank you. Well, hello, everybody, and all the listeners, and I'm very honoured. I know I've certainly had lots of messages about this and lots of requests, so I hope that we'll try to answer a few questions today, and thank you to Deb to welcome me back. So, yes, we are entering midnight tonight. We go into Scorpio season, and it is going to be a sizzling Scorpio season. Just to recap, for those who are not at all familiar with astrology, there are 12 signs in the zodiac. They go from approximately the 20th, 21st of the month for 4 weeks until the next season. The whole of 2024 has been about supermoons, Pluto, Saturn. It's been really quite a year for all kinds of events, but wow, the next 4 weeks, I really think it's like fasten your seatbelt and well, off we go on a rocket. I think because we'd like to focus on relationships, this is the month. Now, Scorpio in popular astrology, I think, has a bad press. Everyone thinks that Scorpio is, oh, can't touch Scorpio. They think that they're nasty. They think they have a sting. They think there's a dark side. Actually, in my experience, I think there's a lot of other signs that might have a darker sting than a Scorpio. I think Scorpios are quite open. They don't like confrontation. They're quite loving. They're exceptionally loyal in the right situation, whether it's a person in love or family. They are very, very loyal. Yeah, they can be difficult, but who isn't at times? So I think there are more signs that can be a little bit more tricky to deal with than the average Scorpio. Now, something else I must clarify here before we go into the forecast for the month. When you are looking at the birth chart, there's fixed signs, water signs, earth signs, mutual signs, cardinal signs. Scorpio is a water sign and is quite fixed. The male and the female of Scorpio will be different. So whilst the characteristics are generally the same, they actually can be quite different. For example, a female Scorpio can be a real chatterbox. If the female is relaxed in happy company or happy environment, she can chat away for hours. A Scorpio male is usually the strong silent type, not very good on communication, will only say something when he needs to say it, but it's usually quite profound. Scorpio men are also very into their intuition, but they tend to reject it slightly because they don't feel it's very manly. Scorpio, male or female, is a sexy sign. It's the air of mystery, strength. Very, very strong person who's born at this time of year. A lot of physical and mental strength, which sees them through perhaps, sometimes a difficult life path. So, from today, we enter the sign of Scorpio. The sun moves in, but Venus at the moment is currently in the adjacent sign of Scorpio in Sagittarius. These two get on really well. They're having a party. Scorpio and Sagittarius, that's it. It's like, let's dance all night. Again, the females of the Scorpio and Sagittarius would dance all night. They would kick off their shoes and they'd still be on the dance floor at 3 a.m. The males of the species, they might not. They might be hiding away in a bar or probably having food or something. So they quite like their food. But both Scorpio and Sagittarius like the good life. So one thing I can say about the month ahead is whoever you are, whatever sign you are, you can enjoy some of the good life. It's a little bit about indulgence. Maybe not too much overindulgence, but it is. There will be this need to perhaps party, throw caution to the wind, get out there a bit. Now, I always think it's no coincidence that the Scorpio season kicks off the party season. We have Halloween, the nights get darker, people start, making their homes more comfortable for autumn, people get more romantic, and then we go into Sagittarius, which is party season, and then of course carrying on into Capricorn. So at the moment we're building up to that Scorpio Venus connection where people are thinking about Christmas, they're thinking about parties, and they're thinking about love. Those who are partnered will be, what am I doing this Christmas with my partner? What am I doing this winter? But more importantly, my mailbox is always, will I have a partner for Christmas? Will I meet someone? Is this the one? My caution to that is just don't get carried away at all the parties. But on the other hand, this is a sociable season. It is a time to meet people, and opportunities often do flood in the sign of Scorpio. I'd like to sort of dispel the myth that the sign and month of Scorpio is to be feared. Not at all. I welcome it with open arms. I think most people should. You're going to feel the shift. However sensitive you are, or even if you're not ultra sensitive, you are going to feel a great emotional surge of energy in the next few days. And I feel that it could be quite tearful. People may just want to feel well up about something for no apparent reason. They want to sit there and indulge in Netflix and, cry over an old film. Or they just want to curl up on the sofa, or whatever they're feeling, it's going to be very intense. And I'm going to say to people, please do not worry about this. Please do not think that you've suddenly become over emotional or, there's something wrong with you. It's just this great intensity of energy and surge of passion and intensity that comes in with Scorpio season.
Can I ask, what is it about the Scorpio planet that creates that kind of energy?
In the zodiac is depicted by the insect, or in some types of astrology, it's depicted by the sign of an eagle. I think both are quite applicable to the sign of Scorpio. It's power. So this is why some people fear Scorpio people, or the month of Scorpio, because a lot of previous major war generals have been Scorpios, because they are powerful. They have this intensity, this drive, and they are able to have great vision to solve problems. So when we are in the month of Scorpio, it's ruled by Pluto. Its ruling planet is Pluto. So the animal eagle will swoop, or the scorpion. This is where it gets the reputation of stinging. The insect will come out of its cage and sting. It doesn't really. It just makes itself known and creates this surge of energy to get everything done before winter really comes in. October is the gathering time. It's the late harvest. It's gathering in all the stuff you need to do before winter, and you batten up the hatches. So I feel that whenever a Scorpio is in a room, there is energy. So if the sun is shining in Scorpio, which is going to be from, overnight and into tomorrow, it creates this other surge of energy.
And, if you try and depict what a Scorpio looks like, we can have a hard shell. We like to hide in corners. We'll come out and protect ourselves. The tail can come over and sting, but I also find that when the tail come over and stings, as it bends over, it stings me more than it stings someone else.
Oh, yeah. And do you know why that there's this tail, this sting? It's about self-protection.
Mm-hmm.
So the animal is in the corner. The scorpion insect is going to sting you before you sting it.
Mm-hmm.
Or the eagle is going to swoop on its prey before man swoops on the eagle. Scorpio is all about self-protection. They often sit with their backs to a wall or in a corner because it's this natural instinct that they have to be covering every corner in case something attacks them. It is due to their enormous sensitivity and their vision. I think Scorpios are the psychic detectives. Again, lots of other signs, lots of other people, various things in their charts will have psychic ability, but Scorpios have great vision and great feelings. They can weigh up a situation very, very quickly. And they do make very good detectives. They leave no stone unturned. And in relationships, this is why people, perhaps in relationships, feel they get stung by a Scorpio, because they see through people. They don't deal with fools. If you lie to a Scorpio, you're rather foolish, because they just have this sort of deep knowing X-ray vision, and they'll think you're lying to me. And because in relationships, they're so scared of hurt that, I will have people arguing with this podcast saying, I really had my fingers burnt by a Scorpio. Yes, but you could also have your fingers burnt by a Taurus or a Leo or Cancerian or Gemini. Scorpio just has real intensity, but they're not quitters. So if you're dating with a Scorpio or you're getting into a relationship with a Scorpio, you're in for the long haul. They
There's a
go
lot
in
to
with it.
lose.
Yeah.
There's a
And
lot
they
to
go
lose with
in,
a Scorpio, isn't there?
absolutely. And they go in with it with the right reasons. They're not in just for a quick fix or a quick thrill. They go in with the 100%, which is why they may be slow to commit. But once they do, that's it. It's bound, and it really is ingrained. So this month is a very good one for matters of the heart, for people to perhaps do some soul searching on their relationships, because whilst the sun is moving through Scorpio, of course, the other planets in the heavens are doing their little bit. So let me just briefly give some key dates here, and then I can explain. So tomorrow, the sun moves into Scorpio. On the 2nd of November, we have a new moon in Scorpio, which is even more fortuitous, new beginnings, more energy, seeing things more clearly, and perhaps analysing where we're at and what we want to do and where we should be. We also have an unusual aspect this year that Mars is going to go into Leo. Now, when I was researching this over the last couple of days, I was thinking, ooh, Mars in Leo, wow, that's fiery. So that is perhaps going to bring a little bit of global conflict to a head, because the sign of Leo is not necessarily warmongering, but it will go in and sort things out. So with the sun in Scorpio, a new moon in Scorpio, and Mars coming into Leo for quite a few weeks, that could bring some global matters to a head. I'm not necessarily going to say it's bad, but I think it will highlight a few tense situations, and maybe negotiations can start opening up. In relationships, I would encourage people to be very soft and sensitive around the time of the new moon, which is the 2nd of November. But I would absolutely urge you to behave yourself a few days, 2 weeks later, on the 15th, 16th of November. That's the full moon in Taurus. Taurus is the opposite sign to Scorpio. Taurus and Scorpio have a very good affinity, but you put the two together and, well, of course you have Taurus. Taurus and Scorpio together is quite a powerful, complex situation. If they're happy, they're happy. If they're not, you're going to know it. So make or break time, perhaps, for full moon for people. If the relationship, any relationship, is showing signs of a little bit being sort of vulnerable or few niggling situations, then avoid any big confrontations between the 15th, 16th and 17th of November. Mainly because not only is the full moon in Taurus, but Uranus will be conjunct with that moon, bringing extra intensity, extra power, extra storms. Probably going to be very stormy that night, very windy. And it could bring a few relationship matters to a head. Doesn't mean to say that it's terminal. It could just be that you finally air your grievance, or you finally get out there what you want to say. But I think I want to stress overall that the next 4 weeks are romantic. They're very home and hearth and expressing your love and being who you want to be and who you want to be with, which is very important. The next extremely important thing that happens in Scorpio season is that on November the 17th, just as the full moon is fading away, Pluto comes back into Aquarius, where it now stays until 2044. I've talked a lot about Pluto in astrology recently because it's so significant, but it's been hovering between Capricorn and Aquarius all of this year. On the 17th of November, it's absolutely parked in Aquarius, and it will stay absolutely in that parking space until 2044. Basically, this is the beginning of the third industrial revolution. So it really is. Sorry?
Say more about that.
Yeah, so this is the third industrial revolution. It's, like when people invented the wheel, all this kind of big revolutions changed when America separated, being independent. This is the huge next phase, so that history is going to be rewritten in the next 20 years of a third industrial revolution. We are already seeing changes in industry, people working from home, people being more creative, doing therapy, being self-employed. There's going to be a huge shift. The great big organizations that we've had over the last century will not necessarily be here or not working in the same way. The massive change will be technology. So will relationships and sexual orientations. We already have a taste of this, that, a neutral gender and gay, bisexual, whatever. It's going to be even more. And I do make a joke that, people will be sort of saying their dog is their fiance or something. But although that's a bit extreme, I think we're going to see a huge shift in how people perceive relationships, how they live their relationships. To a certain extent, sort of anything goes. I feel we're going to have a resurge of the 1960s. So when it was very, Carnaby Street in London, quite hippie, lots of music, all this kind of stuff. But also across the world, we're having the biggest change that we've had for over 200 years. And no doubt things will come back round, that we will probably reopen canals, we'll probably reopen railways, we will reopen farming. So it will be this huge big circle of change, because in Aquarius, everyone will want to get back to basics. Aquarius is a very expressive sign, a very creative sign, and really the sign of self-employed. So a lot of artisans, a lot of trades, a lot of butchers, bakers, candlestick makers will come back round, but in a very different way, and technology will just take us to beyond our contemplation.
So it's going to be more like a community again,
Yes.
Everybody helping, working together, going back to how it was, but in a more progressive way.
Yeah, absolutely. A modern version of how it was sort of 250 years ago. I think family life will be much more significant. There will be a lot of blended families for obvious reasons, step families, additional families. Divorce is no longer such a stigma. So if relationships aren't working, people will not feel so duty bound to sit it out. They will move on and create another family. It's again, people say, oh, is it bad? I don't think it's bad. I think it's just very, very progressive. It's very different. It's very modern, but it's actually going to help us a lot. Technology will help medicine. There'll be a lot more forward-thinking treatments and forward-thinking scans and far more preventative treatments coming in over the next 20 years, which obviously is a wonderful thing.
Exciting time ahead. That's, it feels like a huge global shift. Us coming back more into the heart.
Yes, and I think we will start to feel that in the next few days. Some people do not feel energy changes. They sail through it for the next 2 or 3 days and they don't notice. Some people really do. They have a migraine, or they feel out of sorts, or they describe to me that they have a bit like a brain fog. Scorpios feel things incredibly intensely, and they go by their intuition. So this is why it's quite exciting that we set off this sort of monthly series with Sizzling Scorpio. Because Scorpios will leave no stone unturned. They love their home as well. They quite like the home comforts. They like to be surrounded by nice things. They have good taste. And I really want to sort of champion the cause. A lot of popular astrology will say that Scorpios are to be avoided. Not at all. I feel they should be embraced even more. They're a wonderful contribution. People born at this time of year have a wonderful contribution to life, to relationships, to nature. On the whole, they're very clever people. On the whole, Scorpio men are sporty or certainly very hardworking. But I think the key dates for your diary, and I'm just going to recap this because we need 2nd of November, 15th of November, 17th of November. These are the key dates when you're really going to see the shifts in the moon, the energy, Uranus playing its part, and then Pluto comes in to take us through till the end of the year. And of course, next year is a whole different ball game. But I think my forecast for the month ahead is to be open, to be loving, to be kind, show the real good Scorpio traits. Because if you don't upset a Scorpio, you'll never have a day's problem. It's only when you push them too far, if you lie to them, if you trick them, then yeah, they react. But it takes an awful lot to push them. So I think the party season coming up now with Venus in Sagittarius, the Sun in Scorpio, and new moon in Scorpio on the 2nd, I feel a new romantic age is coming. There should be few new romantic liaisons being formed between now and the end of the year, which I think is lovely.
Okay, well, maybe you can make a note in your diary, everybody, and if anybody notices any of those energy shifts or things happening, then maybe you can get in touch with us and we can reflect on them at the next show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I say to everybody, go out there and embrace Scorpio season.
I certainly will.
Oh yeah, and enjoy your birthday month.